Okay, it being 6 o'clock, I call to order this Wednesday, May 15th meeting of the Santa Barbara Airport Commission, and first item is the roll call.
Vaughn, Craig Arcuri, Carl Hopkins,
Present.
Jim Wilson,
Here.
Paul Bowen,
Present.
Dennis Houghton, Carol Goodman. Here.
Okay, notices on Friday, May 10th at 5 p.m. the Airport Commission Secretary posted the agenda on the bulletin board at the Airport Administration. Public comment. Do we have any public comment speaker slips?
We do have one, I believe it.
This is on a specific item.
Okay, that item's not on the agenda. I believe it's about noise, correct?
Yes, I thought we had a, no, that's only in the director's report. So, Francisco, you can speak now. You have spoken here before, so you know our routine. You have 2 minutes to speak. The total has to speak on any item not on the agenda. The total time is 15 minutes. Each individual speaker is allowed 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Commissioners and airport staff. First of all, I just want to make sure that we all know who we are. We're all public employees, the staff, working for our public, hired by the public, and appointed by the public here, the commissioners. And this is about airport noise, because it's really an issue, and it's really affecting our neighborhood over there. Now, don't get us wrong. There is nobody affected by this that are anti-airport. We realize that things change, and progress and growth can be expected. What is a major concern is managing that growth and increased traffic to coexist harmoniously with the local community. Coexist harmoniously with the local community. The airport should make more of an effort to be a good neighbor. There is an accepted and published flight path that is a noise abatement and safety direction to land at our municipal airport, our airport. It comes in off the ocean over the Moore Mesa open area, avoids congested neighborhoods, and arcs over the agricultural area on the final approach. The majority of pilots now choose to undercut that flight path and fly straight in from 4 or 5 miles out, flying low and loud over Hope Ranch and the Turnpike Patterson neighborhoods. The pilot in command, PIC, can land any way he or she wants to. The noise abatement approach is voluntary, so the majority of pilots take the easy way straight in over our area. With new airlines coming in, and there are a lot more low flyovers. So apparently these neighbors and the increased private jet traffic are not interested in being good neighbors. Apparently they cannot be told how to fly their crafts once in the air, and might not be aware of the safer, high-performance noise abatement flight path. There are many possible remediations that may reduce the adverse environmental impact, the increased commercial and jet flyovers that are now plaguing our community. From environmental impact reports to adopted airport budgets, and even tonight's agenda, there is no mention of funding to address noise abatement for the communities surrounding our Santa Barbara Airport, I'm here to ask Council to direct, I asked Council to direct the liaison to work with us and hopefully work with the Commission so we can all get some of this abatement done. You know, we don't need to be afraid of the noise. We know what the noise is. We were out there monitoring it, and I've called them 5 or 10 times a day sometimes because it's so bad. And they're coming right and low and loud over our area. But we got to work on this. This is our neighborhood. Thank you.
And Commissioner Hopkins, just a point, we do have some changes to the agenda. We kind of skipped over that section.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No problem. We would like to remove item 5 from the agenda. And I'd like to move item 9 after the consent agenda.
Okay, changes duly noted. Liaison report. I don't see where. Oh, we do have our liaison from the council member from Galena. Do you have any? that's good. Do not, all right. Consent calendar, we have the minutes on the consent calendar of both the commission meeting and the noise abatement subcommittee meeting, as well as the property management report. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. We will now jump to item 9, the director's report.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Assistant City Attorney Tava Ostringer, counsel for the airport. Tava regularly attends commission meetings in other city departments she represents, so I have asked her to begin participating in our meeting as well. She is here to answer any procedural or legal questions we may have during our meeting, so she's here to support us.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. As you may be aware, Santa Barbara Airport is considered a Transportation Security Administration Part 1542 airport that is subject to strict security requirements that are designed to ensure the airport is safe and secure. These regulations are key to our operations as a commercial service airport. Last month, staff hosted a visit from our Federal Security Director and the Department of Homeland Security Legal Counsel to discuss our mutual objectives. The outcome of those discussions will mean some additional enhancements to our security program throughout the airport facility. Phase 1 will include changes on the commercial side of the airport, and Phase 2 will include changes on the general aviation side of the airport. The planned changes are designed specifically to improve and promote positive security culture. That is how we look at and approach security at the airport. The safety and security of the airport is our highest priority. Details of our security program and future plans are considered sensitive security information and only shared on a need-to-know basis. Staff will provide the Commission an airport security overview presentation in an upcoming meeting that will provide this body with some insight into the importance and complexity of security at Santa Barbara Airport. I've been getting a lot of questions about FBO development, and I want to provide you with a brief update. Staff will provide a presentation on the status of that development project probably in July. But to date, we have been working with our consultant on conducting an inventory of needs, site requirements, and scope of work for the RFP. At the same time, we've been working to develop the RFP process, a key first step in that project. It's important to note that FBO development is a multi-year development effort with significant complexity. Groundbreaking is likely not to occur for at least another year or more, with construction to follow. A better timeline will be presented as it becomes available through initial work that's being done. However, we are on track with the timeline that was presented to the Commission back in November of 2018. So that is good news. Staff will host an airport community workshop in late June to provide the community with a presentation on the use and capability of the new Public View noise application. Date and time hasn't been announced yet, but we do anticipate providing that workshop, and we'll be doing it down at the Tour Center, and share with the community how that application works. So we will announce that firm date and time soon. This week, the FAA Airport Safety Inspector is in town to conduct our annual FAR Part 130 certification inspection. This safety-focused inspection is designed to ensure the airport is in compliance with strict safety standards and requirements for operating a commercial service airport. Initial feedback is that we're performing well with this inspection and meeting all requirements. We should have final results from the inspection later this week, and we will update the commission at the next meeting. Today's agenda includes 2 leases which have been added to the administrative agenda for presentation to and recommended approval by the full commission. The leases presented represent standard airport leases using language approved by the city attorney's office and rates already approved by this body. As with past practice, these leases are brought before the full commission in lieu of a subcommittee review because they are standard. Staff is prepared to address any questions you might have upon presentation of these leases today. And then finally, airport staff and city attorney continue to work through details of a proposed of the lease at the High Sierra restaurant. We have not come to an agreement at this time and continue to negotiate towards a new lease that is a sound business decision for the airport and that provides the appropriate guarantees that are similar to what is provided in the existing lease. Staff will return to the commission with a recommendation upon completion of negotiations. And that concludes my director's report.
Yes. Item E in the director's report is city council approval, and it looks like we're asking to move about $350,000. Could you give us a little bit of insight into what we're going to do with that money?
So during our budget committee, we had discussions about a shared use passenger processing system that was estimated around $350,000. This was a project that was not budgeted in 2019. However, the need for it came up early this year as a result of all the increase in activity at the terminal building. So the action before the city council, and we did discuss this during the budget session, the action is to use funds in 2019 that were not budgeted to complete that work. So we budgeted for it in 2020, but is actually in 2019. So we presented to the city council that we would be coming back to them for final approval.
This would include the software for shared use?
That's correct.
And modifications to the terminal building. Will it include any of the for the new loading bridge?
No, the loading bridge is a separate project, and that is a project that we're going to have to pre-fund in our 2019 budget and be reimbursed FAA in 2020. So the budget we presented to City Council represented that action.
Yeah. The bridge itself is in round numbers about $1 million, but we're going to have to do some foundation work also.
That's correct. It's looking like we have to replace the foundations that were poured when the terminal was designed and built because building code requirements have changed. And so that will be cost of that project as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for that director's report. And see, we have eliminated item 5, so we now...
Chair Hopkins, apologies. As a point of order, can we open public comment? For each item, we need to open public comment.
We have to open public comment separately regardless of whether there are any public comment slips?
Yes, you still need to just open public comment, ask for it, seeing none,
All
closing
right.
public comment.
Item 6 is the lease amendment Mercury Air Center doing business as Atlantic Aviation. Opening public comment. Do we have any public comments? Speaker slips? No. No? Then can you fill out? We know who you are. Normally, you would have to fill out a speaker slip for each individual item that you wish to comment on, and it's only associated with this particular item.
As well as you know, that it was just brought up, but public comment before each comment by the attorney there.
Okay. Then we will close. You have a on this item?
Sure. Okay. Mercury, one of the new private jet companies that are bringing in more traffic into this our airport. I mean, if we are going to contract these people to do any kind of change or any kind of revision and rent reduction, there's apparently a contract. I think in that contract should be things that are required, like noise abatement. Advise your pilots to come in the noise abatement flight path. Don't just make it, okay, this is all about the money, and this is, you can do whatever you want once you get here. Okay, we should have it to where if you're going to do business here and make money off of our airport, you're going to have to follow our rules and be harmonious with the community that's around us and not cause a big environmental impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments? And we'll close the public comments. The recommendation is that the city council, or that the commission here recommend to the city council approval of this lease, which basically reduces the amount of space that Atlantic Aviation has for parking of their aircraft in order to allow the airport to expand access to bridge number 1.
Commissioner, we do have a presentation.
Oh, you have a presentation
Yes.
for us. All right, please.
Okay.
Deanna looks like is going to give our presentation on this. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Good evening, Commissioners. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? All right, my apologies there for a little technical glitch. I forgot that I need to get the presentation moving before I step up here. Commissioners, I'm just going to talk a little bit about 2 lease actions tonight, actually, item 6 and item 7, and if we need to stop between the 2, that will be fine. We had hoped that we would have had a 3rd lease item for you this evening, but as Director Thompson mentioned, we needed to pull an item from the agenda, but rest assured that item will be back. It is a lease with a long-term tenant, and when I say long-term, since the 60s, but it is a negotiation with the federal government, and just as we were believing to be concluded with our negotiation, they changed some of their terms on us. So we just have a few details to work out until we're back with that lease. But until then, as we mentioned here, the amendment with Atlantic Aviation, and then we have a renewal lease with Greener Ridge Sciences, Inc., which is a small business here on airport property. All right, so Mercury Air Center. We actually talked about this at our last commission meeting, I believe, which was about the Gate 1 relocation, or the restriping of the ramp to accommodate a different configuration for Gate 1 in order to accept narrow-body aircraft. So this is, again, the consequence of that. It was anticipated, so it was actually articulated in the agreement with Mercury or Atlantic Aviation, but this action actually effectuates that intent. So there was no negotiation about this at this point. It was done prior. So the amendment will recover about 14,000, shy of 15,000 square feet of ramp space. We do the rent for the lost ramp space. It's not a significant reduction, just because of how the ramp space is calculated, and there's no other changes in any of the terms. So rent or anything like that. Not a great picture, but I think if you can look to the left-hand corner, you can see that's the current configuration for Gate 1. That's the safety envelope for an aircraft. It's basically going to swing to the right, and at that point end up in what is, you can see, looks like a parking lot. That is a parking lot. That is our rental car ready return parking lot, which will then shift to the south, and in the area there, that is actually the part of the ramp that is being recovered from Atlantic to relocate the parking lot. So unfortunate, it's one of those, we don't want to take ramp space from Atlantic, obviously, but we do need to make Gate 1 function much more effectively for the airport. So that's that. Again, it was just this domino effect of the terminal gate reconfiguration, and it's about a 60-foot move to the south is what it is in total, shy of 15,000 square feet. And then we are working to try to create ramp parking availability at the northeast hangar. We're working on that. It is challenging because we have more requirements from our commercial carriers as well for parking. So it's in short supply no matter how you look at it. So I think that is about that on that item. Would we call for a vote at this point before moving on to the next one? All right. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Thank you very much. We will go on to number 7, a lease agreement with Green Ridge Sciences. For public comment, do we have any public comments, speaker slips? No? Then we'll close it for public comment. And Deanna, please continue.
All righty, this will be a quick one. Green Ridge Sciences Incorporated is basically an R&D type company on Dean Space, so down by the air traffic control tower. They have been a tenant with us for a while, 1989. That's quite a while. As a matter of fact, as you can see, they have storage and office space, and they have some paved yard space. So this is simply a renewal of their tenancy with us for a year with a 1-year option. And those are the lease renewal terms. So the interior space is at $1.31 square foot, which is within the range for what is approved by the commission. It's kind of a mixed use interior space, and then 25 cents per square foot for the yard, which actually comes up quite a bit from where it was before. Yard space has typically been a little bit undervalued here, considering that it's in scarce supply. So if it does look like the lease rate has come up quite a bit, 7% over the previous lease, it's really sort of getting that within the range of what they should be paying for market rent. So, and of course it includes things like utilities, water, electricity, and that kind of thing. So pretty straightforward. Any questions?
Any questions? You have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, just a comment. I'm very glad you're moving up your cost for yard space. As a local businessman in the community, that is a deciding factor in some of the places getting leased. It's in definite short supply, so that's good.
And I was curious about the 1 year and 1 year. Since they've been here since '89, I would have maybe expected they and we would have wanted longer term leases.
Well, I probably shouldn't say too much about this particular tenant, but I do believe that there is some personal reasons behind that.
Okay.
We've seen a few tenants within the last year or two actually approach retirement age, and so
Okay.
they're asking for shorter and shorter leases. So sometimes there can be specific reasons why you might want a shorter
More than
lease.
enough.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a mutual decision.
Yeah, mutual decision. Yes.
Is there any other questions? Motion to approve?
I move we approve this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And the airport property lease rates. Do we have a presentation on that?
Yes, we do. Excellent.
Okay, so I will open this for public comment. Do we have any speaker slips, Mr. Thompson? I'll close it for public comment, and
And
it's the
I'm sorry.
FY 2020.
Mr. Hopkins, I think there was some confusion with some members of the public with regards to what I had said about speaker slips. I know a lot of the members of the public also go to city council, so they know the procedure, but we do request speaker slips, and if none have been provided, but when we open it, a member of the public does wish to speak, speak, but we do ask that they provide us with a speaker slip so we can track it in our minutes.
Thank you very much for that clarification. It's unfortunate, apparently, we've been doing this not completely correctly for a number of years, but thank you for correcting us. Next item is updates is the 2020 airport property lease rates. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners, again. This is an item that comes back every year. So we're back again taking a fresh look at our lease rates here at the airport. For those who aren't aware, we lease about 500,000 square feet of space, and that now actually includes the 6100 Hollister development and the hangar space at the northeast hangar. So we've increased quite a bit of interior building space, and about 3.9 million square feet of land. I think we're just shy of 50 acres of property altogether. That's in the airfield, but this is leasable space. We have a lot of tenants, as you know, of varying kinds, about 140 of them, and we have different types of agreements, leases, licenses, use permits, whatever tools we need to use that are appropriate in the specific instance when you're leasing something. So types of agreements we have really 3 different categories. We're really only to talk about one this evening. We have the commercial air service agreements, so that's everything from concessions, rental cars, parking, essentially everything that is in support of commercial air service. The general aviation agreements, of course, those are FBOs, they're T-hangars, tie-downs, all the things that have to do with general aviation. So we have, which is a little bit unique for a lot of airports, a significant amount of commercial industrial space that we lease, and those agreements are the ones that we're going to talk about tonight. Every year we go back and do a market assessment to determine or assure that our rates are within acceptable market ranges for what we're leasing. Not always easy to make comparisons because we are pretty unique, but we have pretty skilled staff who are used to making comparisons even when they're difficult. So just as a reminder for what is currently in place for 2018, I believe these were actually approved earlier in the year in 2018. So office space, and everything is a range, of course. And the where it ends up in a range, of course, is partially due to negotiation with the tenant, but also condition of the building, location of the building, so that can vary to some degree. I can tell you office space, we really don't have, I can't recall anything that we have close to the top end of that range at 195, and that's really just because the quality of our office space is not as high. We have lots that's down in the 107 to 155 range. Industrial and R&D space, 165 is at the top end. As a comparison point there, the 6100 Hollister development, most of that has been leasing at about $1.60 a square foot. It's new build, so we're able to command good rents for that. Storage, around 81 cents to $1.15. Retail, again, we don't really have much retail here, and I'm hard-pressed to think we could get much up towards the $2.25 a square foot, but we do have one space that's part of 6100 Hollister that maybe we could get somewhere closer to that upper end. Land right now is 15 cents up to 35 cents at the top end. We've been really working actively to try to get our land rates, as competitive as possible because land is again in scarce supply. As is parking. Currently, parking is $20 per space per month for tenants that lease extra parking spaces from us. Some get parking spaces as part of their lease agreement, but others actually lease extra parking spaces. So the local market conditions going into looking at what might need to change. Again, still excess office space capacity in the marketplace, and we're looking more closely in on the Goleta area, of course, more so than in Santa Barbara proper, because that's our main source of competition. There's still a shortage of industrial and R&D space, storage space, mostly flat. Vacant land, there's not very much vacant land anywhere. That's still the same, and then increasing demand for parking. So what did that mean for us? So office space, we are not recommending any change to that range. Industrial space, we would like to propose bumping the top end up to $1.70. With some CPI increases in there, we might get closer up into that range with some of our tenants. Storage and warehouse, no change. Retail, no change. Land, bump that up just a little bit by 10 cents square foot. And then parking, even though it looks like a big jump by $10 a space to $35 a month, it's more competitive with the rates we are charging, for example, the car dealerships that are across the street in the Hollister lot. They are paying $40 a month per space. It's getting it closer to that range. It's more reasonable. Employee parking over at the terminal is $25 a month for employees over there. So it's generally comparable, and we think the market can tolerate it. So any questions?
Any questions?
As far as our rates go for some of the property, I'm thinking mainly the Decker's Shoes facility that's very, very dilapidated. I'm assuming we can bust out of this range if you can find a tenant that'll fix that up enough.
Right. I think, yes. First of all, of course, it has been vacant. I believe I've heard something close to 15 years maybe. So it does need a lot of work. The freestanding building,
Yes.
It's been vacant for quite some time. It does need a lot of work. I think if we get a tenant that is interested in that space, considering how large it is in particular, I think it's going to really require some creativity on our part. It may end up being that they, invest a significant amount of money in fixing it up, and we get little to no rent for some period of time. Something. It's going to be something that'll have to be a little bit more creative for that space.
Good. I'm just very
We
glad.
are showing it though,
Oh.
few and far between, but we have shown it. So there is hope that we might the right tenant. There's a building for every right tenant. So
I think they'll have to put a lot of money into it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Motion to approve? We don't have to approve it. We just received it, so we don't have to.
I believe you do have to approve it actually, because we work
Yes,
from.
I'm sorry, it's the
Yes.
lease rates. We do have to approve them. So do I hear a motion to approve?
I move we approve the new lease rates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Thank you.
Opposed? No? It passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Director, do you have anything else to add? I noticed that our City Council, Santa Barbara Council Liaison, Jason Dominguez is here. Do you, and looks like he has something he might say to us. Thank you, sir.
Not much other than to say we just finished a budget workshop. That's why I'm late, but I did want to come over and sit in on the meeting and hear what's going on and catch up and ask you if you have any questions of me or anything I need to know about.
No, I think we're good. We had a
Great, no
good
news is
meeting.
good news. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For being here.
And that is it. We are adjourned.
Thank you.